Hello and welcome to, yes, week 7. We are entering the midpoint of the course, which I know that excites all of you about as much as it does me. Yay! This is, of course, the page from the syllabus chart discussing what we're doing, each week and where. Um, we have just finished this one with your second primary source analysis due last night by midnight. We today, though, enter the midterm week. And what this effectively means is that you have a midterm you have to take. It is 15% of your final grade, so it's not something you can mess around with. It is due by midnight Sunday night. So I'm going to give you briefly a how and where and all that wonderful fun stuff so that you know how to get to it, and give you the verbal instructions that will complement the written instructions. I'm pretty much going to be telling you everything that is there. If you go to our, well, here, I'll just give you our, nope, I won't do that. Sorry, didn't mean to do that. But I'm just going to take one of the classes at random. Here we go. If you're looking at our homepage or anywhere that's got this bar across the top under activities to get to quizzes, you go under activities to quizzes. Wow, see how simple. And when you get there, this is what it's going to look like. Actually, hang on, I'll put student and then show you what it's going to look like. Activities, quizzes, there we go. So you're going to see that you have two quizzes visible to you at the moment, the midterm itself and the practice quiz. Now the practice quiz is there because in order to take the midterm and the final, you have to have Respondus Lockdown Browser plus the webcam application on your computer. And I recommend that you do this on a computer. Don't try to do it on a phone because there's no way to type that fast and correctly. I don't recommend doing it on a iPad or a tablet of any kind for the same reasons. It is easier to type on those, but again, it's going to be a little harder if you're flipping back and forth between your textbooks and the sources and all of that. So you're going to want to have a computer where you've got the webcam on it because I have to be able to see you. It's going to record you taking the test so that I can know if you're, doing things you're not supposed to be doing. So the practice quiz literally is just for you to open up and to test and make sure that your Respondus Lockdown Browser and the webcam thing are working all right. So basically, you don't have to do this one if you've worked with Respondus before and you know that you can make it work. I'm not worried about it, but if you have not, you may want to try the practice quiz. There actually are, even though it says there are, well, there actually are no questions in this. It literally is just for you to download the Lockdown Browser and play around with it and test it. So it doesn't count as anything other than just um, the practice round, as it were. The midterm itself, though, is not. Now, with this, obviously, I have put in here the extensive descriptions on how you're going to get Respondus Lockdown Browser if you don't have it already. There's a video here that will explain how it works. It's very, very simple. You can, with this, where it says here, the download instructions, the link is at the very bottom of the instructions overall. Download and install. Now, this assumes that you either don't have it already or you have not done the practice quiz to download it. If you're going to go straight to this is how you're going to do it, but I'm going to warn you, you have one attempt to take the midterm. So if you download it and you open the quiz and it doesn't work right, there's nothing I can do about it. You're on your own from that point. You have one attempt to take the quiz, which is the other reason why I wholeheartedly encourage you, if you haven't worked with Respondus before, to do the practice quiz for the downloading and to make sure that it's operational, right? All right, so these are the instructions on how to do that. It's really quite simple and the program itself works really well. It will, though, ask you for permission to use your webcam, which you will have to get. Now, you have 2 hours to take this test. And for those of you who, for some reason, have missed this piece of information, the test is entirely essay. Just like your discussions, just like your primary source analyses, everything with the test is an essay. You have effectively 7 questions. 3 of them are worth 20 points, 4 of them are worth 10 points. They are rather like the discussion questions, and then I'm asking you to do a broad analysis of something, which means you need a lot of historical examples to support your ideas. The themes are going to be very similar to the ones that we've had in the discussions and in the weekly or discussion wrap-ups that I've been doing. I do have one that I will post hopefully later today or tomorrow, which is the wrap up for both weeks 5 and 6, because in 5 and 6, we have the coupled idea in each of them of this concept of the average person. And that's really what I want to focus on in wrapping up those two, because trade and war are inextricably linked to each other, but they're also definitely conditions that are worse for the average person in any empire or society than they are for the wealthy. So that'll be the focus for that, and I'll get to that in that weekly wrap up. But again, if you're paying attention to the weekly wrap ups, then those have a lot of the ideas that you should be seeing in the questions themselves and that we're talking about. And those are the kind of questions I'm going to ask you. There are also, though, a couple of extra credit questions on the test, which are worth up to 20 points, depending on how much history you use to support them and how well you support them. So before you start the test, before you start answering anything, I actually kind of recommend that you look at all the questions. You can move around in the test. That's not a problem. Look at all the questions. Answer the ones that you're most comfortable with first, because you only have 2 hours to effectively do 7 or 9, if you do the extra credit, questions. So you really need to kind of be on your game. I do allow you to use the textbook, whichever one you're using, Diamond, Harari, and Frankopan, since they actually there are required questions using them that you will need to answer, so you'll definitely need access to those texts. Once you're in Respondus, you're actually not supposed to be able to move around. So like you can't go to other websites from your computer. If you have a phone or a tablet that you can have those sources accessible, that's a good idea. If not, you may want to download them to your computer so that you can just use your buttons at the bottom of the screen to pull up what you want to watch. But you're not supposed to move around in the browser itself. All right. Because I'm allowing you to use the books, of course, citation is mandatory. And in this case, all you have to do, you don't have to give me a works cited. I know what your works cited are going to be. You can just use the parenthetical author's name, page number, and that's fine because you need speed. I'm not as worried about the form of your citations on this. I just want to be sure that you're citing where you're getting your ideas from. And if you quote, if for some reason you decide you want to quote, I discourage that completely. But if you decide you want to quote, then you definitely have to have the quotation marks around the quote, right? All right. These are all guidelines, of course, for how to do the webcam check and all of that. Help sections, if you're actually in the test, it's probably too late to get one of these guys to help you with the thing, but you definitely want to have that on hand so that if you have problems during the course of the test, you can reach out to somebody, or if you are smart and you do the early download and you're playing with it, if you have problems, you can get in touch with them also then. All right, again, you may only use the following sources: your textbook, which on Sivers, Bentley, or Strayer and Nelson, or you can use Berger if you're using Berger, or you can use the Cordis if you're using that. Any of those textbooks are fine, the big 5. Diamond chapters 4, 5, and 16, Harari parts 1, 2, and 3, and Frankopan chapters 1, 2, and 3. That gets you through all the readings for this coming week. Pay attention to me here. If the Turnitin score for your quiz, any part of it matches to anything other than those sources, your entire test will be a 0. Not the question alone, the entire test, because that means you have effectively, dare I say, gone off the reservation, gone outside of the rules, and from my perspective, you've cheated. I'm letting you use the sources we've used in the class. Do not go searching around anywhere else for anything else. If it becomes clear that you have, then your grade for the entire test will be a 0. All right, so the test closes, I'm sorry, the instructions I didn't change. The test is going to close at 11:59 on Sunday evening, not 6, at 11:59, which means that the latest that you should start it, since you only have 2 hours and it will lock you out at that 2 hour period. If you wait to the last minute to do it, you must start it by 9:59. Otherwise, you won't have the 2 hours, and that's entirely on you. The test, the whole quiz function closes at midnight. So you won't have access to it the next day unless you specifically ask me. And the only way that I would even consider that is if you email me before midnight on Sunday, giving me a legitimate reason why you didn't take the quiz. And in this case, that's going to be either emergency or extreme illness, because you've effectively got all week to take it at this point. So you will have only through 11:59 p.m. on Sunday, principally because midterm grades are due on Wednesday. So I've effectively got 2 days to grade these and average your grades and get your midterm grade ready to be reported. So there you go. Test is made up of 7 essay questions, 3 of them for long answers, 10 of them for short answers. You get scored based on how well you support those answers with historical examples, right? And of course, citation. All right, and they must be historical examples from this course. Please don't be throwing in there things from Civ 2 or US history. I mean, that hardly exists by the time this course ends. So please don't be using modern examples. This is a history course, and you need to be using the history from this course whenever possible. All right, if you have any questions, feel free to email me. Again, I wholeheartedly encourage you to go ahead and get started on at least downloading the lockdown browser so that you'll have time to play around with it and make sure that it works all right with your computer. Again, if you have questions, email me.